Weekends used to feel like borrowed time. Friday at 5 was an exhale, a little pocket of sunshine I guarded with both hands. Saturday morning held, Sunday morning held, but by late morning, around 10 a.m., almost to the minute, I could feel it, that slow tightening in my chest as Monday crept closer. It didn't matter what chair I sat in, whether I was supporting a development officer, one voice on a team trying to do the work of 10, or a solo shop wearing every hat at once. The feeling was the same. I'd glance at the week ahead and see it all layered on top of itself. Donor follow ups that deserved warmth, a gala that wasn't fully funded, volunteers who needed direction, an annual fund letter that had to leave my hands even if it wasn't perfect yet, a board packet begging for clarity, and then the endless admin that nibbled at the edge of my every day. Here's the honest part I didn't say out loud for a really long time. Our missions are so big, most days it felt like I was trying to lift something that was never meant for one person to carry. And yet I kept lifting. I fought like someone who believed that if I just worked harder, smiled brighter, slept less, maybe this would be the week we would turn the corner. By Sunday evening, I'd be angsty in that quiet way that only fundraisers really understand. The internal pep talk would start even as my stomach knotted up. You've got this. Be gracious. Be fast. Be everywhere. I loved the causes that I worked for. I loved the people that I worked with. And I loved the possibility. But the expectations were heavy. And after more than a decade of showing up with a brave face and a tired heart, the edges of burnout weren't edges anymore. It was the whole shape. If you felt that too, the countdown from Sunday morning, the inbox that feels like weather you have to stand in, the smile you wear while you carry more than anyone can see, then you and I, we already know each other. And that's the bridge into today, because this episode isn't about hustling harder or pretending that our loads are light. It's about offering you a simple and human rhythm for Monday that gives you back your breath and gives your donors the best of you, not what's left of you. So, let's talk fundraising. Here's my promise, plain and slow. You can use AI to save hours and warm donors without being overwhelmed by the technology. I felt the ground shift the week ChatGPT launched in late 2022. I was working at an R1 research university, and the campus buzzed in that particular way that only universities do. Half wonder, half wary, and I was thrilled to be there for it. I started simple. Poems, quick proofreading, and then I tried a fundraising appeal. My prompt was basic. Write a fundraising letter for a community hospice. The result? Flat. Mad Libs energy. If I'd sent it to 1,000 donors, maybe a handful would have given more out of habit than out of heart. So I went the other direction, and I told it to be as persuasive as possible. A dean writing to alumni for their most important annual gift. What came back stopped me cold. Alarmist, manipulative, implying that the university would collapse and degrees would be worthless if people didn't give now. That was my line in the sand. Of course, I never sent that draft. I closed the tab and I made a decision. If I was going to use AI, it would be ethical, responsible, and human, or not at all. And I dove in. Lectures with computer scientists and the folks engineering the chips under the hood. Conversations with lawyers on data privacy and copyright. Sessions with philosophers and ethicists chewing on what this would mean for our work and our humanity. I applied to speak about AI ethics and readiness at AFP Icon and was selected for 2024. The early reviews were generous, and I found myself on stages around the country having the same conversation. What's wise? What's safe? What's ours to do? But by early 2025, the tone had changed. The room no longer said, "What is AI?" It said, "I know it can help. I just don't know how to make it help." And that hit home because I remember that feeling. The workflows that didn't quite click yet, the fear of getting privacy wrong, the overwhelm of too many features and not enough first steps. Not everyone has a bench of professors to call upon. So I built what I wish I had at the start, a super friendly, privacy first path that starts with safety and clarity, then moves into power. Inside the Fundraiser's AI Starter Suite, we flip the privacy settings so your donor trust stays intact. We demystify prompting so outputs actually sound like you. And when you're ready, we build 3 custom GPTs together for thank yous, board reports, and prospect profiles. Short lessons written in plain English with real wins that you can feel that very same week. I knew we also needed support beyond the videos. That's why the course includes a template prompt pack, every prompt in one file, an AI safety checklist, and a shareable brief for your IT lead or executive director, so you can show in black and white how to use AI in a data-safe, donor-respecting way. But why now? Because if Mondays have been heavy, a simple routine can give you relief and a calmer start. Not hustle, not hype, just a human rhythm that gives you back your breath and gives donors the warmth, specific touch they deserve. If that's you, the door is open. Enroll at letstalkfundraising.com/starter suite. I'll drop the link in the show notes too. Watch one 10-minute lesson tonight and feel the difference by the end of the week. You're still with me, which tells me you don't need a pep talk. You need your Monday to feel different. So let me tell you how mine changed, for real. When I first opened ChatGPT, I treated it like a test I had to ace on the first try. I'd spend way too long crafting the perfect prompt, hit enter, read the output, and feel that little drop in my stomach. It wasn't me. It was fine, but it wasn't warm. I'd delete the whole thread, start a new one, and try again. Same dance. New chat, new prompt, same mismatch. Then one night, late, a little fried, a little stubborn, I stopped being polite and just said exactly what I meant. I typed, "No, I want it done this other way." And I explained the other way like I would to a colleague. Keep it shorter. Make the first line sound like I'm talking to one person. Include one true detail impact. Hit send, and the next draft landed closer. Not perfect, but closer. Warmer. Clearer. More like how I actually talk. And that's when it clicked. This is not a test with one right answer. It's a conversation. You don't have to nail it on the first try. You can mold the output as you go. You can say, yes, and keep it under 180 words, or try again, gentler, and include one specific impact line. It learns from the nudges, and suddenly, you're not staring at a blank page. You're coaching a draft into something you're proud to send, without being overwhelmed by the technology. Once that landed, my week started to feel different. Not because I magically had fewer responsibilities, but because there was a rhythm I could trust. Small steps I could take even on a crowded day. 5 minutes here for a lesson, 10 minutes there to try a prompt with variables like donor name or gift amount or impact detail, so the message stayed personal without revealing anything private. And then when I wanted to refine, I asked for what I actually needed. Warmer, shorter, clearer, one true fact. The edits got smaller. My confidence got bigger. And I want to name something practical that changed the feel for me. I started by flipping the privacy settings. The simple, unglamorous switches that mean your work stays your work. Turning off model training, setting memory with intention, keeping names and sensitive details out of prompts unless the right safeguards were in place. That one choice quieted the second guessing in my head. I wasn't worrying, should I even be typing this? I knew where the lines were. I could just do the work. Then came the moment that used to intimidate me every single month, the board report. I used to lose half a morning getting the structure right. I'd open a document, stare at the cursor, and think of the 3 other tasks I was postponing by trying to make perfect headings. One day I dropped a short, plain instruction into ChatGPT, outlined a clear, readable board update with 3 sections. what we accomplished, what's ahead, and what we need support on. Keep sentences short and specific. I returned a scaffold that made sense. I tweaked a header, added 2 facts that only I would know, and there it was. Not done, but not a mountain either. And that feeling going from stuck to I can work with this, that's what I want you to have in your week. Here's a smaller everyday moment that changed too. Thank you notes stopped feeling like a tug of war between tone and time. I'd paste a short template with those little placeholders, name, gift, program, one true impact, and let ChatGPT give me a human-sounding draft. Then I'd nudge, tighten the opening line, mention the program's outcome in one sentence. 2 tiny refinements, and I could hear my own voice in the paragraph. It didn't take an afternoon. It didn't take a committee. It took a few sentences and the decision to shape instead of starting over. If you've ever thought, I don't have time to learn something new, I want you to hear this with kindness. You don't need a spare day. You need one small step that pays you back by Friday. One short lesson, one safe setting turned on, one prompt saved in a little prompt bank file so you're not reinventing the wheel next time. These are small moves that change the feel of your week. And because I know it helps to have proof you can hold, the course comes with the things I wish someone had handed me at the beginning. A template prompt pack, so you're never starting from zero. An AI safety checklist, so you stop hesitating and start creating within clear guardrails. A brief you can share with your IT lead or executive director that explains, in plain English, how to use AI in a way that protects donor trust. All of it is designed so you can move forward without being overwhelmed by the technology. And let me tell you what this did to my Mondays, because that's the day that used to swallow me. I'd sit down, open my laptop, and instead of chasing the loudest task, I'd run a tiny reset. Privacy check, one prompt for the first thank you, a quick outline for the board update, and a note to myself about which donor conversations I was excited to have this week. 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes total, and the tone of the day was different. Not frantic, not defensive, just clear. I wasn't trying to be everywhere at once. I was choosing what mattered and letting an assistant handle the first draft. And because this is real life, some days still get messy. A meeting runs long, a report comes back with new numbers, a donor needs more context. On those days, the win is not perfection. It's having a place to return to. A saved prompt that still works. A structure that still organizes the mess. A reminder that I don't have to muscle through every sentence alone. That steadiness matters more than any single trick. I also want to say this out loud. You're not behind. If you're listening and thinking, I've barely touched this stuff, you're exactly who I built this for. The lessons are short on purpose. The language is plain on purpose. The first things we do are about safety on purpose. And when you get stuck, you can message me during the course. You don't have to post in a forum or wait for office hours if that's not your rhythm. You can just say, this part isn't clicking, and I'll help you move. If you're already someone who's tinkered a bit with AI, this will still sharpen you because the skill isn't memorizing fancy prompt syntax. It's learning how to steer, how to say warmer, shorter, name the impact, how to hold your voice steady while the tool does the heavy lifting. That's what makes your notes feel like you. That's what makes donors actually feel seen. And if you're the person who cares deeply about ethics, and I know many of you are, this is where we live. We keep the human at the center. We avoid sensitive data prompts. We check anything that looks like a statistic. And we remember that AI is an assistant, not a signature. The tool drafts and you decide. The tool suggests and you stand behind what goes out. That's not just good practice. That's leadership. So picture the smallest real win you'd want this week. Not a grand reinvention, something ordinary that would feel like relief. Maybe it's 3 warmer thank yous that go out without eating your entire morning. Maybe it's a board outline that lets you leave on time for once. Maybe it's one prospect summary that doesn't require 12 open tabs of research. That's the level we work at. practical, human, and repeatable. And I'll repeat the most freeing lesson I learned the hard way. You don't have to be perfect on the first try. You can say, no, do it this other way. You can ask for, yes, and can you make it kinder? You can treat ChatGPT like a capable teammate who wants feedback. When you do that, the pressure drops, the drafts improve, and your time comes back to you. Not in theory, in your actual week. If a part of you is nodding, but another part is whispering, what if it still sounds robotic? Stay with me. Because right after this, we're going to sit with those objections, the time crunch, the tone, the privacy, and I'll show you how we keep this safe, simple, and in your voice, so it supports your relationships instead of replacing them. For now, take a breath. You don't need to become someone else. You just need a rhythm that you can rely on, and an assistant you can shape as you go. Let's sit with the hesitations that pop up for almost everyone. Not to swat them away, but to listen, answer them with care, and make space for the kind of help that actually lightens your week. The first one, I don't have time. I hear this most, and it's honest. Your plate is already full, so let's be clear. This isn't one more thing to carry. It's the thing that helps you set a few things down. We work in tiny moves, not heroic leaps. A short lesson you can do between meetings. A single prompt you save so you never start from zero again. One refinement like, yes, and make it warmer. Keep it under 180 words. You don't need a free day. You need one step that pays you back by the end of the week. If you need a proof point, try a quick thought experiment with me. Take 10 seconds right now, actually 10, and answer this. What would you do with 2 hours back this week? Close your eyes if you can. If you're driving, keep them open. But picture something ordinary and meaningful. 3 donor notes that feel like you, or a board outline that doesn't eat your morning, or leaving on time one day without carrying guilt home. Hold that for a breath. Second, will it sound robotic? It will if we let it, but that's not how we work here. You teach the tool your voice in plain English the way you'd coach a teammate. You say, write this like a note to one person, not a crowd. Or try again, shorter, warmer, and include one true line about impact. Then you listen, read it out loud, and if a sentence jars you, change it. Ask for another pass. You're the editor. The tool is the draft hand. AI is your assistant. It's not your signature. The litmus test is simple. Would you be proud to send this with your name on it? If not, we keep shaping it until you are. The third fear is the big one. Is donor data safe? And this is where we start, not where we end. The very first moves in the course are about protecting trust. We choose the right plans for ChatGPT. We flip the training setting off. We make memory choices on purpose. We use placeholders like donor name or gift amount and impact detail instead of pasting sensitive specifics. And we follow a simple sanity check. Before anything leaves your screen, if you wouldn't say it on a microphone at a public event, don't paste it into a prompt. If a draft includes a statistic or a claim, give it a quick verification pass. If the task requires real names or confidential details, slow down and make sure you have the right safeguards in place, or keep it anonymized. When those guardrails are up, you stop asking, should I even be typing this? And you start doing the work confidently without being overwhelmed by the technology. The fourth one comes with a whisper. What if I'm brand new? Then you're in exactly the right place. This is beginner-friendly by design. Short, clear lessons, plain language, no jargon for the sake of jargon. And if you've already tinkered, you'll still sharpen your craft because the real skill isn't memorizing fancy prompts. It's learning how to steer, warmer, shorter, more specific, in your voice. You'll have lifetime access so you can go slow, repeat anything, skip ahead, come back later. And when you get stuck, you can message me during the course. You don't have to figure this out alone. Let me tie these together because they're connected. Time, tone, safety, and confidence. They move as a set. When safety comes first, your shoulders drop. When tone matches you, drafts move faster. When steps are small, time comes back. And when time comes back, you show up with your best self, not whatever's left after the scramble. That's why this isn't about becoming an AI person. It's about becoming a fundraiser with an assistant and staying a human who leads with care. If you want a simple way to try this, here's a tiny practice I love. Take one message you already need to write this week. A thank you, a quick update, a note to a board member. Open a new chat and start with one human instruction. Write this like I'm talking to one person who matters to me. Paste in an anonymized line or two about the gift or the outcome. Send it off to ChatGPT and then steer the results. Try again, but lighter at the start. Or keep it under 180 words and include one sentence that names the impact. Read it out loud. If it sounds like you, keep it. If it doesn't, nudge it again. 2 or 3 passes, not 20. You'll feel the difference between wrestling a blank page and coaching a draft. And because trust really does sit at the center of our work, I'll say this plainly. The tool never replaces the human. It doesn't know your donor's heart, their hesitations, or their history. It can't carry your ethics. You do. That's why every workflow we practice keeps you in the driver's seat. You choose what goes in, you review what comes out, and you own the message that leaves your desk. That's what your donors deserve. And it's what will make you proud of the work with your name on it. If relief and donor warmth are the goal, the Fundraiser's AI Starter Suite is the path I built for you. It's a privacy-first, super friendly way to reclaim time and keep your voice without being overwhelmed by the technology. Join me now at letstalkfundraising.com/starter suite. You can watch one 10-minute lesson tonight and feel the difference by the end of the week. Let me pull back the curtain on my own launch because the same truths found me. The night before I opened enrollment, everything was lined up. Last week's episode had gone out about refreshing custom GPTs. Monday morning's newsletter was queued. The emails, the page, the prompts, all done. I took the whole thing, copy, structure, call to actions, and asked ChatGPT for a comprehensive review. It came back with something I didn't expect to sting as much as it did. It told me it was strong, clear, and comprehensive, but it was feature-heavy and light on the heart. And I had this little argument with myself because I built it that way on purpose. I've bought things that looked shiny and then fell apart when you needed them. I didn't want that for you. I wanted substance. I wanted you to feel from lesson 1 that this would actually help. So yes, I leaned hard on what's inside, the checklist, the safety steps, the helpers you'll use every week. But Monday morning arrived and the first few hours were quiet. Not crickets, just quieter than my gut hoped for. That was my wobble. Not a catastrophe, just that uneasy, And in that moment, I remembered what I tell you. When the signals say adjust, adjust. I didn't scrap the plan, I stabilized the message. The first move was small and human. I wrote a real talk note and sent it to my subscribers. No funnel speak, just, here's why I built this, what I hope it gives back to you, and why I believe you'll feel the difference this week. I moved the heart higher. I changed the opening line on the page to speak to relief and donor warmth, not just tools. I pulled a few bullets out of the weeds and added a simple, who is this for and who is it not for? And I expanded the questions everyone carries about AI. Tone, privacy, time. Right there in the FAQ in plain speech. One clear promise, one clear button. And then I did something that never fails to help me breathe. I showed up where humans could find me. I answered replies. I invited questions. I made it easy to raise a hand. The plan didn't need more noise. It needed more presence. Sometimes, the bravest pivot isn't a new tactic. It's being visible enough to say, ask me anything. And here's what surprised me. that tiny shift from here's everything this includes to here's how this will feel in your week changed the energy of the responses. People didn't write back with, "What's the file format of this course?" They wrote back with, "I want my Mondays to feel like that." Same course, same lessons, same safety guardrails. But the words met the moment. Overstretched fundraisers who don't need more to do. They need the thing that helps them set a few things down without being overwhelmed by the technology. I also had to talk to that part of me that wanted to keep adding to the course. And if you're anything like me, you know that voice. Make it richer, add more, go deeper. And I do keep improving the work because that's who I am. But when I slowed down and walked through the course again as a student, not a builder, I felt something I rarely give myself permission to feel. Pride. Not puffed up pride, the grounded kind, the kind that says, this is clear, this is kind, this is going to help people. And that mattered. It let me stop tinkering for ego and start serving for impact. If you're listening and wondering what the pivot looked like on the page, it was simple. Fewer paragraphs about features, more about outcomes you can feel. Hours back, warmer notes, a calmer start to Monday. The promise moved up, the safety step stayed, but in plain English. The helper stayed, framed as momentum, thank yous, board outline, prospect notes, so you could imagine using them this week, not someday. And I kept one success path in view instead of juggling 5 at once. I want to name the part that matters most to me. I built this because I want fundraisers to love their work again, not just their missions. I know you care. We wouldn't be here if we didn't. But caring inside a sector that runs hot, tight budgets, big goals, real pressure, it can grind the joy out of good people. And I don't want that for you. I want you to have a simple, beginner-friendly start that makes week 1 feel lighter. I want you to feel the first win soon, a thank you that sounds like you, an outline that takes minutes instead of a morning, a moment where you catch yourself thinking, oh, this is different. So that's my launch truth. There was a wobble, and I listened. I shifted the words towards the heart. I chose to be present, and I kept the whole thing simple enough to be useful right away. No dramatics, just small, steady changes that honored what you've been telling me all year. Help me use AI in a way that's safe, human, and doable in a real week. If that lands for you, I'm so glad you're here, but I wanted you to hear the inside story first. Not a perfect plan, just a human one, because that's all we really need to begin. You've heard my launch truth, so let me get specific about who this is for and what your first week can actually look like. If you're mission driven, if you care about donors as people and not just names in a CRM, if you want your time back without being overwhelmed by the technology, this is for you. Maybe you're the major gifts pro polishing board decks at night. Maybe you're the small shop ED wearing 5 hats. Maybe you're a consultant who wants to bring stronger drafts and clearer thinking to clients without living in 50 open tabs. You don't need bells and whistles. You need a calm, trustworthy assistant that helps you send warmer notes, write cleaner updates, and think straighter, fast. Who is this not for? If you're looking for a magic button that writes perfect copy while you sleep, it won't fit. If you plan to paste donor names, giving histories, or anything sensitive into prompts, it definitely won't fit. We keep trust at the center. Guardrails first, placeholders instead of personal details, and the human stays in the loop, always. Now, the part I love. What week 1 can feel like in real life. Day 1 is foundation. 2 simple privacy choices you know what's remembered and what isn't. A quick, plain English look at what AI can and can't do in your role. It sounds small, but when you stop wondering, should I even be typing this? Your focus comes back. Day 2, you write one message you already owe, safely and simply. A thank you, a donor update, a note to a board member. Start with a human instruction like, write this as if I'm talking to one person in a warm tone. Use anonymized details like donor name, gift amount, and impact detail, and send that to ChatGPT. Then steer what it gives you. Try again, lighter at the start, or keep it under 180 words and include one true sentence about impact. 2 nudges, not 20. You ship the note and you still have your morning. Day 3, you stop reinventing the wheel. Open a simple document, your prompt bank, and save that thank you template. Variables at the top, and add a second template you'll reuse monthly. Outline a board update with 3 sections: what we accomplished, what's ahead, and where we need support. Keep sentences short and specific. Next time, you're not starting from zero, you're starting from steady. Day 4, you try one small stretch that gives leverage. Maybe you ask for a board report outline that mirrors your organization style. Maybe you take a stiff paragraph and say, rewrite this in my voice. Warm, plain language, one person, one paragraph. You hear the difference and you keep the parts that feel true. Day 5, if you're ready, you sketch your first little helper, a simple assistant that expects variables and returns a draft in your tone. If that feels like too much this week, skip it. Lifetime access means you decide when to build. The point is momentum, not pressure. So, your week 1 deliverable is clear: a privacy-safe setup, 2 reusable prompts, thank yous and a board outline, and 1 message sent that actually sounds like you. Optional is a first helper marked out for later. You finish the week with less friction and more clarity. And because you asked for a real moment from my life, here's the truth. I didn't feel the shift as one big brand new kind of Monday. It arrived like a string of small and honest tweaks. I noticed I was leaving on time, enough that sitting in rush hour traffic, I caught myself thinking, why am I annoyed? Oh, it's because I left on time today. The weekend came, and for once I looked back at everything I'd finished, and I wasn't wrung out. I felt something I use as my North Star. Fun. Not vacation fun or game night fun. The kind of fun that feels like satisfaction, like a job well done, energy in the tank, and optimism about what's next. That was new. And the next week, it didn't vanish. The load didn't get heavier again. It got lighter, a little at a time, because I was moving steadily. I wasn't standing at the bottom of a mountain feeling paralyzed. I was taking steps I could keep taking. Each week, I finished more than was being added to my plate. And that felt great. Not flashy, just real. That's the outcome I want for you. Not a grand reinvention, a quieter confidence you can feel in your calendar and in your body. Fewer stalls, warmer notes, a board outline that doesn't eat your morning, and a pace that lets you show up as yourself with donors, present, human, and steady. If you're hearing this and you can already picture what your version of fun might feel like, a week that ends with pride instead of depletion, stay with me. This is the simplest way to begin, so the next few weeks start adding up for you too. What I've offered you today is simple on purpose. It's relief, not hustle. Warmth, not robots. Structure that quietly frees you to do the part that only you can do. Build real relationships with real people. We start with safety so donor trust stays intact. We write in your voice so donors feel seen. We keep the steps small so your time comes back without being overwhelmed by the technology. If that's what you want, here's your next step. Enroll in the Fundraisers AI Starter Suite at letstalkfundraising.com/starter suite. Watch one short lesson tonight, send one message this week that actually sounds like you, and feel the lift in real time. You'll also have the template prompt pack, the AI safety checklist, and a plain English brief you can share with your IT lead or executive director so you're not pushing this uphill alone. You don't need a new persona. You don't need a free day. You need a rhythm that you can trust and an assistant you can shape as you go. If you're ready for a calmer start, warmer notes, and space for the conversation that actually moves your mission, I would be honored to walk with you inside the course. Join me now at letstalkfundraising.com/starter suite. And whether you enroll today or next month, hear this: you are not behind. You are not late to anything. You are learning in public inside a sector that runs hot, and you're still here. And I'm grateful for your work, your care, and the way you keep showing up for your community. Take the next right step. Keep your voice, protect your trust, and let this simple structure do its quiet work. I'll be right there with you. Take care, my friend.